If I'd been allowed to stick with it longer than the 2 weeks, I suffered being dissed by everyone, beginning with the equipment manager. When I held a tackling dummy, I was not only knocked over by the first guy who hit it, but sent rolling for a good 20 feet with my spidery arms and legs wrapped around the dummy. The line coach looked at me with a combination of pity and contempt that made me feel lower than a gopher's basement. And when I not only failed to catch the ball that was tossed to me by the second-string quarterback, but also allowed it to hit me square in the forehead, leaving a red mark that morphed into a big purple bruise, the offensive coach wrote me off like a bad debt. The head coach took me aside after that. "Son," he said, "I admire your spirit. I've never seen a kid less athletic who's tried harder. But you're going to have to quit now. Otherwise, you are going to end up getting really hurt." "Why?" I asked. "You mean my blood isn't good enough to keep fertilizing your football field?" The coach almost laughed, but he shook his head instead. "There it is," he said. "Your mouth. The way you keep making remarks like that. That's what really makes this too dangerous for you. If I don't kick you off this team, someday one of those other kids who's not as smart as you is going to kill you because of something you said." It was when I was coming out of the back of the building on the other side of the field after turning in my ill-fitting uniform that I ran into Tipper Soderman, stocky, simian-shaped starting right linebacker. Several of his buddies were behind him, all of them equally anthropoid. "What's the matter, Fish?" Tipper said. "Quitting 'cause you're scared?" I spread my arms to show I had no intention of responding in an angry fashion. "No," I said with a friendly smile. "I just seem to have too much crane in me and not enough gorilla." He took my remark as sarcasm, which, to be fair, it was. Sadly, perhaps because Rise of the Planet of the Apes had just hit the theaters, he knew what a gorilla was. "You calling me an ape?" he said, stepping forward and throwing me down before I had the opportunity to reply. The fact that my mouth was open to make said reply meant that I more or less ate a good bit of the pile of dog doo-doo in which my face was thrust. As I sat up, spitting it out, he and his gang walked away from me in disgust. I doubt that they heard me say, "But I prefer Alpo." Nor did they see me sit there for at least 5 minutes more, my chest heaving as I cried my heart out. When you've been undone by your lack of physical prowess and your overabundance of quick repartee, it helps to have understanding parents. If they weren't incredibly understanding, they would not have signed the waiver that has allowed me, underage as I am, to step into this ring to take part in an amateur mixed martial arts contest. "Dad," I said, "I need to learn how to fight." My father took one look at me, and probably one smell, for I had failed to get all of the poodle poop out of my hair, and understood. "Want boxing lessons?" My father had boxed in the Navy, and though he never bragged about it, had been good. I'd found the medals he'd won one day by accident when he asked me to bring him a shirt from his closet, and I accidentally tipped over the cigar box he had them stashed in. Gold and silver, every one of them. "More than that," I said. "I want to be like Anderson Silva." "The Spider?" "You got it, Dad." I'm pleased he knew my reference to the Brazilian MMA fighter. He's the best in the world, pound for pound. "Want to take a ride?" I'm always a little surprised at the number of people my dad knows. Maybe it's because his job as a news editor at our paper takes him around to so many places. And maybe that job is why his conversational style is invariably interrogatory. The next thing I knew, we were pulling up in front of the storefront of what was once a neighborhood corner grocery, but now had the words East Country MMA on the window in small letters. "You want to go inside?" "Only as much as I want to keep breathing." The wide floor was covered with blue mats. The walls that had once held display cases were covered with mirrors, and there was a boxing ring in the far right corner, an MMA cage in the far left. The rangy man who came loping up to shake my dad's hand had a craggy face that looked like it had been through more than one storm, but still emerged like a peak from the clouds to reflect the sun. "Jow, how are you?" my father said, holding out his hand as Jow took it with both of his. "Good, Frank. This your boy?" Dad nudged me, and I stepped forward. "Johnny," I said, holding out my own hand. Jow took it, again with both hands. His grasp wasn't one of those crush-your-fist grips that so many